I have Dollop tour dates to announce for the year 2024 of our Lord J-Town. We have our 10th anniversary show coming up in Los Angeles on April 27th. Guests are Karen Kilgariff and James Adomian. And then we are going to Australia, starting on May 13th in Perth, May 16th in Sydney, May 18th in Brisbane, May 20th in Canberra, May 22nd in Melbourne, and May 24th in Adelaide. You can get your tickets at dolloppodcast.com.
What if you could find a home with the innovations of the future right now? With access to culture and everything else the city offers in the historic Loretto Heights neighborhood. ThriveHomebuilders.com. Homes of tomorrow, here today.
We're back, baby.
I start. You're listening to The Dollop.
And we're back, baby.
Week, I, Dave Anthony, read a story.
We are back, baby.
From American history to my friend
Gareth Reynolds, who has no idea what the topic is going to be about,
and
baby.
doesn't know his place. God, you want to hit a dude?
I'll do one bottle.
People say this is funny.
Not Gary Gareth.
Dave, okay.
Someone or something is tickling people.
Is it for fun?
And this is not going to become the Tickling Podcast.
Okay.
You are Queen Fakey of Made Up Town.
All hail Queen Shit of Liesville.
A bunch of religious virgins go to mingle and do what? Pray.
Hi, Gary.
No.
Nicely done, my friend.
No.
October
Oh, what?
17th, 1780.
Not shouting's the new shouting.
Richard Mentor Johnson was born in Beargrass, Kentucky.
Dick Mentor?
Yeah, Dick Mentor.
Alrighty.
Although back then, Kentucky was actually part of Virginia, but then it turns into Kentucky. Just trust me.
Sure, yeah. You walk far enough.
His parents...
You walk far enough, everything's Kentucky.
Thank you.
Yeah.
His parents became one of the largest landowning families in Kentucky. His dad was also a politician serving in the Virginia House, the Kentucky Constitutional Convention, and the Kentucky State Legislature. So he's fucking shiznit.
Right.
Two of Johnson's brothers became members of the U.S. House of Representatives, and another was a federal district judge. They were all very good at helping friends and relatives get government contracts, which helped them build and hold on to political influence.
Okay, so here we are. Here we feel the build that we have the black sheep.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Richard Johnson studied law and became a member of the bar in 1802.
Okay.
He started a law practice as well as owning a store, and when his father died, he inherited a large number of slaves and a lot of land.
Okay, so now I'm honestly thinking like Billy Madison, Adam Sandler, like in this time. I just have a bad feeling.
This is the Billy Madison story.
Billy Kentucky.
At an early age, Richard Johnson was a wealthy man.
Okay.
Right? So he got all this stuff.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's loaded. But he felt connected to the common man and often represented them for free when they were going up against rich people.
Ooh, okay. That's a curveball.
One Washington socialite said he was, quote, the most tender-hearted, mild, affectionate, and benevolent of men, whose countenance beams with good will to all, whose soul seems to feed on the milk of human kindness. He was said to have been liked by everyone.
Wow.
He began his political career in 1804 when he was elected to the Kentucky House of Representatives. He then jumped up to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1806 and served for 6 consecutive terms.
Alrighty.
He was a champion of disabled veterans, widows, and orphans.
When's the bottom dropping
What do
out?
you mean bottom drop out? This
Come
is just a
on.
good
Give me
story.
something. Give me something.
It's a good story.
Give me the twist, baby.
Johnson voted for and then fought in the War of 1812.
Okay.
He fought under General William Henry Harrison, and he was a great soldier.
All right.
At the Battle of Thames, he led a cavalry charge that helped secure a decisive victory against Tecumseh. During the charge, Johnson personally killed Tecumseh.
Whoa, he got the top dog?
Yeah. Fucking
Something.
Tecumseh.
Yeah, that's the
some
one.
serious business.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's why you get involved in this shit.
That's right.
That's best case scenario.
That is best case scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, not for Tecumseh.
No, not from Tecumseh's perspective.
Is it weird that I am basically here because my ancestors killed people like Tecumseh, and yet when I read that, I want Tecumseh to win?
No, it isn't. And I think the more that you live in the world, the more that you're just like, man, I really just root for all the like, like if like white people were to become slaves, I'd be like, look, we had this coming. I mean, what do you want? Like, what do you fucking want? Guys, let's be honest. We had a hell of a run back there.
How about we do that for 200 years, and then we'll see how we feel?
All right, then it'll be even. Then we'll see what happens. See if we can get a white man elected president.
So Johnson returned to Congress in 1814 as a war hero.
So you could take a breather from Congress to go kill Tecumseh.
Yeah.
Come back in and be like, all right, what's the vote on?
Hey, what
are we voting on?
What are we doing?
Shit.
What's up, boys? Tecumseh Killer here.
Whew.
In 1819, he was elected by the Kentucky legislature to fill the remaining term of Senator John J. Crittenden, who had retired. He had
Palin.
Well, he had 4 kids, and he was like, I can't do this.
Hey, guys, I'm out of here.
Senate schmenet.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I'm out. So
That's clearly when the Senate didn't mean that much. The guy's like, you know what? I had another kid.
Well, it actually just goes. It goes to like the truth is, it goes to show you that, I mean, you really don't need to be that present if you're a senator. Not a lot of them are, but now they get in so much trouble if they miss. Totally fucked. You got to be there for everything.
Yeah. Johnson remained in the Senate until 1829, but he was no longer a wealthy man. When he came into the Senate, he had a lot of debt from failed financial ventures and losses incurred during a recent depression. Because of this, he worked to eliminate imprisonment for debt, fighting against it his entire time in the Senate.
So, good cause, selfish reasons.
Yes.
It is a little bit like, and I always think this, and this sounds kind of fucked up, but it's like when someone famous gets a disease, they go to the Senate and they're like, we need to figure out a cure. Right. And they're like, this guy's a goddamn hero. You're like, well, he is, but he also has an extreme vested interest in walking again.
Yes, he does.
Like, I hear you.
He really wants you to support this,
but
because
he would love to be walking.
He would very much love to be walking.
So that's kind of his thing.
I'm here for the children.
Yeah.
And sure, I can't walk.
And you want all people to be able to walk. Yeah, sure.
Right?
Me.
Everybody and me, also me.
Me. Let's make sure I can, and then we'll see.
Me walking.
You got to learn to walk if you're me first.
So I hear a beeping. It's not in the apartment.
Stuff doesn't back up in your world?
Right. So he became a leading supporter of Andrew Jackson, whom I believe his relatives had fought with. And he backed Jackson in the election of 1824. But not everyone was thrilled that Richard Johnson was so vocal about supporting Jackson.
Okay.
That was mostly because of his home life.
Okay.
Johnson took one of his slaves as his common law wife.
See, this is what you're very good at front loading information, and then you pick when we have the fucking M. Night Shyamalan moments. Okay, which was to say the least a controversial move, right?
Yes. Well, back then, a lot of slave owners would have sex with their slaves, but not like, you're my
not on the up and
now.
up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Party of 2. Sir. Yes? Sir.
She is a slave.
She's my wife. Party of 2.
What about a party of 1 3/5?
All right. I can get you a chair with 3 out of 4 legs on it, ma'am.
Her name was Julie Chin, with 2 N's. I know this. That's an English name because my roommate in college, his parents are English, and his last name is Chin with 2 N's.
Yeah.
Chin.
The double chin.
Most amazing of all, Richard Johnson lived openly with her. completely openly as
That's
a
so
wife.
great.
He treated her as his wife in all aspects of his life. He took her to formal parties and other social events.
This is...
Could you imagine? He was just walking around with just like, fuck you, hey, fuck you, fuck you, hi, fuck you.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you? Fuck
Bill
you.
Maher during slavery. That's so great, though.
That's awesome.
It's the greatest because that's what is really. I mean, like you alluded to, what's one of the things that's so fucked up is how they're not. Black people they're nowhere near as equal as white people, and then they're like, yeah, but I mean, I'm fucking them. I mean, Jesus Christ, this one is awesome. Like, but you hide it.
Yeah, you hide
the idea that you're on the up and up.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
This is not the DL.
No, this ain't Hughley.
This is the U.
This is the up. This is the U.
UU.
Yeah, the UU.
So he's on the UU. They had 2 kids, and he raised them as his daughters.
Okay.
Right? So
Sure.
not whereas normal guy would fuck his slaves, and they would have kids, and he'd be like, you're also a slave. No,
Yeah.
he was like, these are my kids.
Yeah.
While he was away working in Washington, Julie had complete legal control over his business.
That's so great.
People are, I will not talk to a black woman.
Yeah.
You're a slave. Also a wife.
So it's kind of like that scene in Pretty Woman when she gets to go back to the store.
Never seen it.
Alrighty.
This didn't go over well with pretty much everyone in Washington, which led to his defeat in 1828. The plantation owners in Kentucky couldn't get past his choice of a spouse. Oddly, he was still very popular in his own district in Kentucky, and he ran for the House again in 1829, winning easily. So he gets kicked out of the Senate, and he goes, well, I'll just go back as a different guy.
Yeah.
Despite making a slave his wife, Johnson declared himself a candidate for the 1832 Democratic presidential nomination.
Love it.
He's out of his fucking mind.
Love it. That's the greatest. The outrage. Can you imagine someone in the Klan telling someone else in the Klan, he's like, Clete, you have to have this wrong. What are you trying to... He's like, he's got... His wife is a goddamn... He's like, boy, you must have hit your head. Nobody's running for president with that.
Nobody would do that.
Look, a unicorn ain't running for the presidency.
This would almost be like a guy running for president who said Mexicans are all rapists and...
No, Dave. Enough fantasy.
But he dropped out.
It would be like a gay man who's married to another gay man running 20 years ago.
It totally would.
Like where
Totally would.
people would be like,
This is Phil.
yeah, it's the White House, not the pink house.
Oh God, they're totally going to say that when a gay guy finally runs.
I'm ready for the rallies.
Yeah.
Just from a
the
pun sign
rallies.
perspective.
Yep. Okay, but Johnson dropped out of the race after Andrew Jackson said he would seek a second term. Now, of course, Jackson won because everyone loves Jackson. Right after Jackson's inauguration, Johnson started his push for the presidency in 1836. So right after the inauguration.
So
he flooded the western states with handbills calling for him to be nominated for the presidency in 1836. He got a friend to write and publish, quote, the authentic biography of Colonel Richard M. Johnson. A play was written called Tecumseh, the Battle of the Thames, in which Johnson was the hero.
Wait.
And it was a hit.
He was kind of the first personal propagandist.
I don't know if he was the first, but
I mean, to that level, like if you
that's
think about
crazy.
Well, but that's what like the revolution of politics in the last like probably 30 years.
Ben Carson and
even before that, like Clinton was like maybe one of the first people to unveil like the sort of faux documentary, like fly on the wall, slice of life shit.
Yeah,
where you're just and then you release your book. Like people, only started releasing books when they run for presidency, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Now every one of them, whenever they run, they're like, here's my book.
Yeah.
It's about me and my dog, my best friend, and my gun, my other best friend.
My dog's got a gun.
Yeah, it's about my dog's gun.
The playwright also wrote a poem about Johnson, and one line was, Rumsey Dumpsey, Colonel Johnson killed Tecumseh.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
Tecumseh, but whatever.
Shaped-in, maped-in. That poet mailed it in.
That line became a Democratic slogan in the 1836 election.
So slogans were just dry.
Well, just whatever stupid thing you could put down.
Yeah, it rhymed a little.
It rhymed a bit. It sounded stupid.
It'll work.
Johnson wasn't just popular because of his military heroism. He fought for veterans and for continuing Sunday mail delivery.
Okay. Man,
It's a different time.
it really. I've been honestly, just from doing the podcast recently, like I've been thinking about mail and communication more and more back in those days. I mean, it was like,
Oh my God.
if they were closed on a day when you went to them, you're like, oh my God,
I came 10
it took 30 hours.
I didn't know it was Sunday.
Aw.
So that those also made him popular as well. Because he was popular in the West, Jackson made him one of his unofficial advisors.
Okay.
Right? But he did not win the Democratic nomination for president in 1836.
Shocking.
That went to Martin Van Buren. That left the position of vice president open.
Whoa.
Almost everyone wanted a senator from Virginia to be the vice president, including Van Buren.
Okay.
But Andrew Jackson wasn't keen on that idea.
Why?
Well, he thought Johnson was the right call because of his popularity in the West. He wasn't popular in slaveholding states because he openly took a slave as his wife. And since he was taking the place of the senator from Virginia, that state wouldn't back him. But Jackson went ahead and pushed Johnson through. And Johnson even needed a little bit of inappropriate help. When the states were casting their votes at the convention, the delegation from Tennessee was absent. So one of Jackson's crew grabbed a guy who wasn't even a delegate and got him to cast Tennessee's 15 votes for Johnson.
Wait. You there.
Yo, where are you from? Where are you from?
Tennessee?
Okay, come on. Yell out. Yell out. My votes go to Johnson.
What is this all about?
yell
My
it
votes
out.
go to Johnson.
There we go.
What?
You just, you're a good job.
I'm drunk.
I know you are. You're from Tennessee. The Virginia delegation was pissed. They wouldn't support Johnson's nomination, and they stormed out of the convention. Again, delegates approached Jackson and asked him to reconsider. Tennessee Supreme Court Chief Justice John Catron warned that Johnson was, quote, not only positively unpopular in Tennessee, but affirmatively odious. Yeah.
I mean,
When you call someone odious.
you've crossed the line.
He was concerned that, quote, the very moment Colonel Johnson is announced, the newspapers will open upon him with facts that he had endeavored often to force his daughters into society, that the mother in her lifetime, and they now rode in carriages and claimed equality.
I love that you can't, like, because you were saying he made a bunch of bad investments. That's not anything that get brought up. He's just like, he's trying to make his kids normal. Do you understand? His half.
He is saying that black people are normal.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Of course, that wasn't the only thing. Johnson had taken things up a notch as far as his slave wives went.
Oh, no, he didn't do the Ted Danson thing, did he?
Well, Julie died of cholera in 1833.
Okay.
So naturally, Johnson took another of his slaves as a wife.
Wow. What?
And he did the same thing he did with Julie. He put her in charge of the plantation and brought her to social events.
Okay, a couple things. First of all, I mean, look, either he's really attracted to black women or he's really attracted to controversy.
Yeah, Vicky.
But he had a plantation still
Yeah, he still had the plantation.
with slaves on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't going well. You can still have it, but you could be losing money and trying to keep
Yeah,
it
but still, the idea that you would be marrying, like that you'd be like, all right, now be in charge of the slaves. She's like, well, they're...
they're my friends.
Yeah, I know. Make sure they work real hard. Don't give them too much water.
What?
I'll be back tomorrow.
Don't give them too much But this second wife was not as down with the arrangement as Julie had been, mostly because she already had a common law slave husband.
What the fuck?
So when the opportunity arose, she and her slave husband ran off together.
Well,
And this did not sell well with Johnson. He was not down with this.
no, that's a deal breaker for him in a relationship.
Yeah. And he had the two tracked down and caught.
Uh-oh.
Then worse yet, he sold her at a slave auction down the river.
Ugh.
Down the river meant deeper into the South. Slaves were treated much worse down the river. Was he done? Nope.
No.
He then took a third slave wife. This one happened to be the sister of the slave wife he had just sold down the river.
Oh my God.
He did the same thing with wife number 3. He took her to social events and treated her as anyone would treat a wife.
Okay, so now I think. Okay. Okay. Because you start skeptical of this man.
Sure.
But then the story of him bringing his black wife around is kind of
very
like
progressive.
inspiring and
Yeah,
very
it's
progressive.
inspiring, yeah.
And then the fact that he does it a second time, you're like, that's
a little weird.
I mean, okay, maybe, look, lightning struck twice in this crazy world. This guy just found
True.
another. Yeah. Then
Look, he has a slave fetish.
she runs and he sells her deeper in the South. Now there's a third.
Yeah.
So now you got to think that the people who are like, Jesus, can we stop inviting him to stuff? I mean, this is crazy. What is he doing?
They're right.
They're starting to be right.
Yeah. But she was on board. She called him my dear Colonel, and that's where Johnson's life was when Jackson wanted him to be vice president.
So yeah, how has your time been? You ready to be the VP?
You got nothing, no skeletons in your closet,
real
right?
quick. And these are some guys who are going to ask you some questions. Vet you real quick. Take 20, 30 minutes. Then let's meet. We'll talk about the stuff we're going to do.
Okay. Can my wife come?
Sure. Oh, I believe we met. Did we?
Oh, no. You met the last 2?
To what?
Well, I had 2 before this one.
Sorry, 2 wives
Yes.
before black?
That looked like,
Right.
black.
Okay, so sit down with these guys.
You might have met her sister.
Sit down with these guys.
She
It'll
was
take
be-
about
she was before this
5
one.
to 6 hours.
I sold
sit down
her
with
down
these.
the river.
Okay. Listen. I'm gonna roll.
Those are my black babies.
All right. Take care. These guys are gonna talk to you about 5 to 6 days.
So he was the VP candidate for the Democratic Party, and he cost the Democratic tickets votes in the South.
In the South?
Marrying a slave and trying to force her upon Southern society was too much. And he lost votes in the North because he sold his second wife down the river.
Yeah.
The Democratic ticket even lost Kentucky. He was a completely useless candidate. And yet he and Van Buren somehow won by a slim majority. But the election wasn't settled. We're still talking about the Electoral College, right?
Yeah.
So if people don't understand how America works, it's set
It's
up
stupid.
to fuck over people. But basically, the Electoral College works like you vote, and then in that area you've picked
Each state.
people to represent your state, and then they go and then they vote again. With the people, the electors vote again, and they choose the candidates. So they could all be told to vote for a guy and then go there and not vote for that guy.
Right.
They can do that.
Yes. And if it sounds ridiculous, that's because it is.
It is completely insane. All the Democratic electors voted for Van Buren for president, but the Virginia delegation refused to vote for Johnson for vice president. They cast their votes for someone else. So Johnson now was 1 vote short of becoming VP. This meant the Senate had to make the decision.
Wait. That's amazing. So, they were the first ones to do, the write-in, where someone's like, Pee Wee Herman. They were the first ones to just be like, no, this dog instead. Fuck him.
Fuck that guy.
Okay, so now the Senate has to decide.
So the Senate was like, fuck, we got to fucking do this or else people are going to flip out. So the Senate was like, okay, he's in. And they voted for him.
Okay.
To avoid chaos and humiliation.
Right.
Because he was such a problematic person, Johnson really couldn't do the usual ceremonial crap a VP would do. Van Buren, who never even wanted him to be his VP, just sent him to the Senate the entire 4 years where he served as presiding officer.
Right. So just kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he can be the deciding vote and stuff like that.
Right, but not, yeah, right.
There wasn't much to the job. It was said he often left his chair to, quote, lounge around. He was often seen chatting near one of the 4 fireplaces that kept the Senate chamber warm.
Wow.
Without a lot to do, Johnson focused on getting himself out of debt. He opened an academy to train Native American boys to be more civilized. In other words, they started opening up these academies to just take the Native American out of the Native American.
My God.
And there were a lot of them. The Choctaw Academy was very lucrative as he got funds from the government for each student he enrolled.
Ugh, that is so ridiculous.
So he's making money by whitening people.
Yeah.
After that, he opened a spa, hotel, and tavern on some of his property in Kentucky.
Who is this guy? What is going on? I still can't get over a Native American, like a school to like.
Oh yeah, we'll do one about that sometime.
You just come. I mean, honestly, like if you think of what America is, right?
Yeah.
If America's a house,
yeah,
it was a house occupied by people that we came into,
we kicked them
killed
out.
a bunch of them,
Yeah.
threw them out, and then we're like, come dress like us and be like us. And they're like, but our house. We're like, no, you don't live here anymore. No. Our house. Be like us.
You can live in the shed.
Yeah. Okay. This is a salad fork. Salad fork. Okay? Oh, God. The moon has darkened on the situation we all now live in. Salad fork!
Johnson then just left and went home to run the spa for 9 months.
Now, this dude is... I mean, what is this guy? I mean, up is down, down is up, and then it's back to normal.
He's great. When one politician visited him, the politician wrote to President Van Buren and said that Johnson was, quote, happy in the inglorious pursuit of tavern keeping, even giving his personal superintendence to the chicken and egg purchasing and watermelon selling department.
Wait, what does that mean?
He just said that he was having an awesome time at his spa and tavern, and he was off buying eggs and shit.
That's what he's...
Yeah, he's having a good time getting eggs and melons.
So he's like
whatnot.
living Eat, Pray, Love, where they're like, can you vote on this?
Oh, I'm getting a rub down.
We need to break the vote. We have a tie.
But this didn't help his already suffering reputation to just leave his job for 9 months. None of it helped, and the economy collapsed, and he suddenly found himself in even deeper debt. He also suffered from chronic pain from wounds he had gotten fighting in the War of 1812. People said around this time he changed. He no longer dressed well, and his appearance became unkempt and disheveled. People stopped seeing him as charming, and he became crude and vulgar. The election of 1840 was fast approaching, and Johnson was clearly a problem. Even Andrew Jackson no longer backed him. But Van Buren didn't want to just dump him for fear of losing veterans in the West. With the administration taking the blame for killing the economy, Van Buren couldn't take any chances. At the Democratic Convention, the delegates decided to choose not to choose.
What?
Johnson was not renominated for VP. No one was nominated for VP.
That's allowed?
They figured it was better to have no one instead of Johnson. And they didn't want to replace Johnson.
Wait. So they just cut him?
He was so bad that they figured they would upset the West if they pick somebody else, so they're just like, what about nobody?
That is almost a little bit what, in a way, like what Trump is doing is like, you're just like, well, who's the vice president? He's going to be the best. Well, who is he? He'll be the best. He'll be the best VP. Who do you want as VP? Well, I want a guy who, fights for women's rights and wants to make the imbalance in America stronger. I got a guy.
I got a guy. He's the best.
Yeah, he's the best.
Not one of those garbage guys.
Who do you hate? I hate Hitler. Yeah, he's the exact opposite. Who do you love? I love George Clooney. Yeah, it's George Clooney. He's the best.
So no one's chosen. They figured it'd be better to have no one instead of Johnson. Johnson did not give two shits. He ran as an independent, and most voters just assumed he was on the Democratic ticket, so they voted for him.
What?
Regardless, Van Buren was defeated, and Johnson with him. His political career was over, but not in his mind. He ran for the Senate 3 more times and lost each time. Being completely insane in 1844, he tried to get on the Democratic presidential ticket again, but failed. What have I ever done that I can't be the president?
Lots of stuff. That's amazing.
And yet, he still had his old pals in his district back home. He ran for the Kentucky House of Representatives in 1850 and won.
What?
But unfortunately, he was always too sick. Rumor was at this point he had dementia. The Louisville Daily Journal wrote, quote, "It is painful to see him on the floor attempting to discharge the duties of a member." In November, he had a stroke and died.
We honestly had a president who had a good amount of dementia, but the idea, because when you're on the floor, you are allowed to talk for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So someone who's just down there is just like, we need to start making bigger sandcastles. For the last time, we can live in them if we become cats. Now, everybody listen to me and listen close. Listen close.
Okay.
This is my best friend. This is a watermelon with a hole in it.
Oh, boy.
I'm marrying this. This is my new wife. Okay?
Yes.
And then these are my kids. They're bananas. Meet our dog, Strawberry.
Okay, I think your time's up.
But I have 30 more seconds and I want to say something.
Okay.
I have macaroni in my pant pockets.
Okay.
And if I mush my hands in, I can make it into a sort of paste. Okay?
Yep.
And there's one more thing.
Okay.
Yum, yum.
Okay.
Tum, tum.
Thank you.
All righty.
Gentlemen from...
I'll be handing out pocket macaroni if anybody... All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm eating candles.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
From Paragraph.
Thank you.
Johnson's only surviving biracial daughter, so one of his daughter had died at this point. His only surviving biracial daughter was ruled illegitimate by the court and therefore unable to receive the inheritance he had left her. She was black. It was divided up by his brothers.
Well,
Great ending.
that's the ending?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So he seemed awesome. He is our worst vice president ever.
It's kind of
until Dick Cheney came out.
But it's kind of like, it's a little bit like an Anna Nicole situation in a way. It's like you hung in there with this fucking crazy dude with dementia for so long, and at the end of the day, you're like, I'll probably get a little something out of it. And no, you don't get anything. You're like, you don't understand what happened. He thought his mirror was his twin brother for a year and a half.
All right.
Well, great.
I hope you're happy.
Thank you.
Go get tickets to the New York and Chicago shows, April 17th, 18th.
We'll be signing cars.
We'll be signing cars.
Oh, yes, it's Gareth. Not Gary, stop it. Gareth Force, listen, I've got a bunch of stand-up shows coming up, and I want to see you there. We can hug. I will be at Rooster Teeth Feathers in Sunnyvale, California, April 18th, 19th, and 20th. Then I will be in Chattanooga, Tennessee, June 18th. I will be at Nashville at Zanies, June 19th. I will be in Huntsville, Alabama, June 20th. I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, June 21st, June 22nd. Then I will be in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, June 26th. Then I'll be in East Providence, Rhode Island, June 27th. Then I'll be in Boston, Massachusetts, and Boston, June 28th. That's 2 shows. I will be in Springfield, Massachusetts, June 29th, Rochester, New York, June 30th, and then July 5th through the 6th. Canada, I've heard your prayers, and I will answer them. I will be in Toronto. So come join me at the Comedy Bar. Go to GarethReynolds.com for tickets and information. That's right, Gareth Force. We're calling you up. It's the big time. The big leagues. This went poorly.
Calling all future shapers and dream chasers. MSU Denver is a place that meets your pace. We have drive and dedication to help you reach your destination. We're a school that works for you and with you at every step. Online and on campus, learn with faculty and peers to forge your career. Tomorrow can't wait. Your next starts now. We are the change makers. MSU Denver,